calm down, folks. Just calm down. And welcome to the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast, 2025 Stanley Cup Final Wrap-Up Show for Game 2. And before we even get into any of this, folks, if you want to see a sporting event, a finals event where they just go up and down a court and shoot a basket, get a couple of points, score 100 each, score 100 whatever, and it goes, one team wins and that's fine. If you want to see that, go watch the NBA Finals. If you want to see truly excitement, passion, and back and forth, even play, probably the best finals series in any sport you're going to see, you stick around and you watch the rest of the Stanley Cup Final, because nothing in the first two games that I can remember, nothing compares to the intensity and just the great play of these two teams. So I just wanted to say that out first. The second thing I want to do is thank the Refocused Radio Network, because the Best Boys Center Ice podcast on YouTube is available on the Refocused Radio Network, along with Rudy Campos Jr. and Sweep the League, and Shemaya Reed and the I Am Refocused Radio, along with some other great a lot of great content on there, and Carson does a great job with the intro and all this graphics. Well, let's get into it, Carson. It was Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. The Oilers had a 1-0 lead right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Florida got things going with about 2 minutes into the first period. Sam Bennett gets another goal. I think he's got 13 now.
Yeah, that is the most road goals, because he's had one home goal and the rest have been on the road. He is tied with Mark Scheifele, is who they said, for the most road goals in one Stanley Cup playoff
and
year.
I think Bennett has the most goals in a single playoff year right now, I think.
On the road.
On the road? Or
yeah, on the road. I don't think it's total yet.
Okay.
I don't know what the exact amount is, but it's just on the road for sure. He's tied for top with Scheifele. But yeah, he got it started early.
And then the Oilers came back later in the period. Evander Kane gets his sixth, about 7:40 in. A couple minutes later, Evan Bouchard gets his seventh. And then
Seth Jones tied the game.
11:37, you're right, Seth Jones tied the game. And then Draisaitl on the power play, just a brilliant play from Connor McDavid. Guess who? At 12:37. So the Oilers go into the second period up 3-2. But then Florida does what Florida does. They took over the second period pretty much. Kulikov got his second at 8:33. And then Brad Marchand got a shorthanded goal, which the Oilers on that power play looked just
it didn't look good. They looked bad.
They looked good. They were
I could sense that something was going to happen for Florida on Florida's side of it.
Yeah, so Marshy gets the shorthanded goal at 12:08. So we go into the third period. Nothing going, but Florida, they played good defensively, but then got back on their heels the last half of the third period. And with only about 18 seconds left, Scory Perry gets his eighth of the playoffs from Wallman and Connor McDavid to tie the game at 4. Then we go to overtime. Nothing decided in overtime. The first overtime pretty much dominated by the Oilers. They outshot Florida 13-8. But in the second overtime, it was the other way around. Florida had the outshot the Edmonton Oilers 4-1. And then guess who? Brad Marchand, the Rat, gets his second of the game at about 8:05 on a breakaway.
I love that, Sully. He just jumped way up in the air. He's like, well, let's do it.
It was a breakaway. He got stopped initially, but never gave up, and the puck just squeaked through Stu's legs, and the Florida Panthers win the game 5-4. to tie the series at 1, and that's pretty much what we expected. We don't expect either team to run away with this series. We didn't right from the start.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was, Florida had a much better game. Both teams played great. It was just back and forth. You got to love it when the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final go into overtime. First time that's happened since the bubble in 2020, and Dallas got the winner in that one. But no, you asked me just before we went on, am I disappointed because the way the game ended? As an Oilers fan, yeah, because you want your team to win every game. But as far as being disappointed,
no
way.
Far from it.
How can you, as a hockey fan, a pure hockey fan, not be excited by what you saw the last couple of games in this series? It's tied 1-1, kind of where it should be. This is going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We were texting with my sister, your aunt, and just going, what do you think? It's like, this is going to be a long series. This isn't going to be a quick one for either one of these teams. There is just so much. I've never seen a Stanley Cup final like this start off like this. It's just great to see. It's great for the league. It's great when J.J. Watt, the former great NFL player for the Cardinals and for the Texans, comes out and says, there's nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here's a former pro football player who is watching this. Charles Barkley's crazy.
He's got the Oilers winning the Stanley
Cup. So when you've got players from other leagues and other sports saying there's nothing that beats the Stanley Cup.
Well, even tonight, the Oilers, they had a star running back for the NFL, Carolina Panthers, Chuba Hubbard, who's a Canadian citizen. He was at the game. Mm-hmm. They had him. He's a big Oiler fan, but it's great to see the notoriety that the NHL is getting from these other leagues, even celebrities going out to these games and appreciating because it's fun. I mean, it's entertaining. Mm-hmm. It's passion, and it's skill. I'm going to rip your head off right in front of you. Mm-hmm. And it's great it's just unbelievable to get to watch that. You're right.
There's so much passion because after a lot of the plays, there's, a bit of rough stuff, which is fine. You don't want sticks involved, but it's just the passion. It's just like they're just so both teams want to win this cup so bad, and they'll do anything and they'll play their hearts out. This is a game. This is a series where you play until you drop and you just don't stop. I can't think of 2 better teams in the league to be in this final. I've said it before. You definitely have the best 2 hockey teams all up and down the lineup playing in the Stanley Cup final. They may not have had the best records in the league, but they are the 2 best teams, and you're seeing it on the ice car.
I agree. I mean, what a first 2 games. I mean, back and forth, fairly even throughout. If you look at both games, fairly even play. Both teams had their points mm-hmm. of domination in this series, and each team has proven why they are supposed to be here. Now, going into this game specifically, if there were any of the 2 teams that needed to win this game, I really thought it was actually going to be Edmonton that needed to win, because Florida's been in this position. They know what it takes to win the Stanley Cup, and they take home ice back. They have control mm-hmm. at this point of the series again. Not like it really matters, but it's still something to think about. Yeah. Very, very big game for them to come back and take it over. Edmonton had all the momentum at the beginning of the game. One thing I was mixed feelings. I had mixed feelings about this because I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It added more entertainment to the game, but it also just kind of somewhat ruined it. At the same time, was all the penalties at the beginning of this game. I mean, it felt like every trip down the ice, someone was getting whistled off for like high sticking, roughing this. And I get it. Penalties happen, but these are penalties that during the regular season they're not calling. And now when it's in the Stanley Cup final, everything's just getting whistled down. And don't get me wrong, it made it entertaining because power plays left and right. There's more on the line there. You've got the best players from each team's on the ice more. But it ruins the flow of the game a little bit because you have no 5-on-5 really going. But I do at the same time think that just added the chaos to that first period. That first period felt like it took an hour and a half to go by with how slow it was at the same time with all the penalties. But this turned out to be such a great game. Like Dad said, the passion's important. You look on the overtime, Paul Maurice is getting panned on the bench, yelling at the refs, screaming at him because they're screwing up icing calls. They had the one on the Oilers that they were going to wave away because it hit Nate Schmidt's helmet, and they pan over to him, and he's yelling "F off, F this, F that," because he wants to win. He doesn't care. He wants to win, and it's not being disrespectful to the refs. They're just that passionate. There's that much adrenaline. Um, I'm a neutral party to this because obviously your team is the Oilers. I don't have a team in this fight, but it's just been so entertaining to watch. I'm happy with either of these teams winning it. If you're an Oiler fan, you're happy with how you've played, but you're definitely disappointed you didn't get this game because they definitely owned it for the most part. Shot totals, they had that, but I think really at points the Oilers sat back too much and let Florida do too much, and that's a team that doesn't need much time. In overtime, Florida had way too many golden grade
Yeah.
A opportunities to score, and before we came on, Dad and I were talking. Marchand had probably three or four different times in overtime where he could have scored and won. He had the one where he had gotten stopped by Stu in front of the net, and then he poked it through again, and it went off the post.
Yeah.
And then he had one at the beginning of double OT. It was off a turnover, and he just whipped around, and Stu stopped it, and then finally this one to end the game on the backhand. And even Brian Hart had a breakaway that he didn't hit the net. Plenty of things I think you need to clean up for Edmonton when it comes to that because they gave Panthers too much, and that's why they took this game. Whereas the other way around, Edmonton did get some opportunities, mainly the big Kapanen chance there that happened in double overtime. But the Panthers are that good of a team. They only need so many opportunities. They got it done. Uh, I'm not really concerned about the goaltending for either of these two teams. I know there's a lot of goals that went in, but look at the shots. I mean, look at the caliber of guys on the
Yeah.
ice. I give all the credit to both goalies. Bob stepped in and he calmed down after the frantic start to the game. Stu made some really good saves. Unfortunate break on the OT winner, but that's not really one I think that you're that concerned about. But again, he now is going to go on the road where the fans are going to be on him
Yeah.
the whole time,
Whole
much
time.
like the Oilers fans were on Sergey. On Sergey, he stepped up, and I give him credit. He played well when he had to, and
Yeah.
that's what a championship goalie does. But this game had everything. I mean, power play goals, frantic rushes, frantic moments in the game. Corey Perry ties the game with 18 seconds left. And then on a play that's, a great hockey play, one of the all time great players of this generation, Marchand, ends the game in a dramatic fashion. You see what it means to that team. They're jumping, they're celebrating. And now, just like the Oilers were 2 days ago, they're back to the drawing board. They're ready to get on that plane probably right now and fly home and be ready for game three because this is going to be a dogfight. Um, I'm not surprised the series is tied 1-1. I'm very happy with the series, how it's gone. It's been so good, entertaining. I love what I'm watching. This is peak sports right now. I mean, this is the best series going on. This thing going on in sports, and it's great to see it. The NHL is getting a lot of attention. People are looking forward to these games, and Monday night cannot come soon enough for
Yeah.
Game
Right.
Three.
And it's going to be the atmosphere in Florida is going to be great. And the Oilers are going to go in, and I think they go in knowing that they need to tighten things up. Like you said, they need to make some changes in how they defend, not giving Florida so much
You know what I didn't
opportunity.
like too? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It
Yeah.
just came in my head. I don't like that Knobloch kind of reverted to this pairing up Draisaitl and McDavid again. I
No.
didn't care for that. I think that you might disagree, but I feel like in OT they really didn't look that good. I think together they just looked kind of out of sync.
Mhm.
I think you're better off splitting them up and keeping them separate. I mean, Kapanen seems like he's just due to do something at any
Yeah.
point. Like keep him out there. Pod Colton, another guy that we've talked about that looks
Mhm.
like he's just. I just didn't think it was the right move at the time. You're not in a panic mode. You're tied. I think you split them up. That gives you double the chance to get the puck in the
Yeah.
back of the net. Obviously, Draisaitl has 3 OT winners already in the playoffs this year. Uh, I just don't think, he knows obviously more than we do, but I just don't think that was the right move, in my
No.
opinion.
I've always said you get them on separate
And,
lines. You don't keep them on the same line for
yeah,
too long. You
and I
get
get it
them.
when they do it like after the PKs and
Yeah.
stuff, for sure, but not in this situation when you're
No.
tied. There's no need to do that at this point. I just didn't think that was very, very good. And I think Florida took advantage of that because the rest of the way they have more lines out there where they're splitting up their big guns, and the guy that wins the game gets 2 goals, the third liner. Brad Marchand's the third liner, and it's hard to think about it that way, but he is. That's what he is at this team.
Well, I tell you what, this is going to be a fantastic rest of the series.
Oh,
We both
I know.
expect this thing to go 7. And game 3 is Monday night. They're taking a couple of days off.
Thank goodness. We need the breather.
And,
I think
and it's
after
so
that.
funny because they've got 2 days off between game 2 and 3. They got 2 more days off between 3 and 4. But then between 4 and 5, coming back to Edmonton, there's only 1 day. So it's just give us more of this.
Yeah, can this be like a 20-game series, please?
Yeah, 20 games, the best of 21.
God, I just don't recall watching a final like this. Like, they were literally toe to toe. I think this is one of the best matched up finals. Edmonton learned last year how Florida plays and vice versa, and it's just been so entertaining. You're seeing everything. You're seeing great defense. You're seeing goals. You're seeing great chances that are almost going. The crowd's jumping up, rowdy. It's great. This is what you want to see. Game 3, we know that place is going to be rocking in Florida. No doubt that Florida knows how to put on a hockey game.
Yeah,
they know how to do it right, and this is going to be a really good game. Could we see another overtime game in Game 3? I think if we get another OT, oh my God, I'm going to be like beside myself.
Yeah, me too. If we get another one, I was thinking to get. Well, of course, as you know, you wanted to get overtime because the Oilers were down. But it's like, man, back-to-back overtimes. And then if we get 3 overtimes in a row, I don't know if my ticker can take that. But we'll take anything we can.
Then they know you just had a heart procedure?
Yeah, didn't they just know I had a heart procedure? But we will be on the air. It's a 7 o'clock Central Time start.
Knowing that, it's going to probably be at like 12:30 a.m. or something.
Yeah, by the time we get to our wrap-up show. But we will be on the air. Let's just put it this way. Probably within a half hour of the game ending, we will be on the air with the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast 2025 Stanley Cup Final wrap-up show. The series is all tied at 1. Monday night's going to be great. We like to thank, again, the Refocused Radio Network for putting the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast on the network, along with Sweep the League and I Am Refocused Radio. It'll be available probably later this week. This show will be on. And you can, if you want, message us both on our Facebook pages or even on TikTok. You can message us however you can get to us, and we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the Stanley Cup Final, whether you got a team in it or not. And this is just great. Carson, thanks again for all the great work on the graphics and the intro. And we'll see everybody Monday night. And in the meantime, and in between time, everybody, have a great hockey night.